What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since '03, and that was one of the craziest Pistons games I have seen in a long time. The Detroit Pistons just beat the Miami Heat by a score of 123 to 121 in overtime, and it was a wild game for a number of reasons. Typically, in these post-game recaps, we go through and highlight three individual performances. We're not going to do exactly that tonight because there is just so much that happened in this game and in overtime especially that I want to talk about it from more of a team aspect. But before we do that, I do want to talk about Tim Hardaway Jr. quick. Tim Hardaway Jr. unfortunately suffered what was an absolutely awful head injury in this game. The defender or the offensive player, Bam, had elbowed Tim in the face. The refs did not call it. After that, Tim recovered and tried to take a charge. And when he went to take that charge, Jalen Duren's knee got him in the back of the head, and then he was down for a crazy amount of time. I'm just hoping the best for Tim Hardaway, the person, because anything related to the head is dangerous. It's scary. You never know anything about that type of stuff, especially me, who's not a doctor. But what I do know is anything related to the head is a whole different ball game than any of your limbs. So just hoping the best for Tim Hardaway. Not even going to speculate on recovery time, anything like that, because realistically, you're just hoping the best for Tim Hardaway, the person, because with an injury that nasty to the head, that's really step one, is just making sure that you're all good. So hoping the best for him. And the one other player that I do want to talk about is going to be Jalen Duren. Just quick, Jalen Duren returned to action tonight after being out 2 games with an ankle injury. He looked good. I think that his rebounding presence was very needed for this team, especially after the previous game against the Rockets. And I thought that all things considered, Jalen Duren looked like Jalen Duren on the court. So definitely happy to see him back. So now, to talk about the actual game itself, man, it was a crazy one. The Pistons got out to an early lead. They were up by as much as 18 at the very start of the game. And then in the first quarter, they were up 11 points. They were cruising right along. Miami came out pretty flat, but you just kind of knew that Miami was going to find a way to at least make it somewhat of a game. And that's exactly what they did. By the time the fourth quarter started, Miami was right in the mix of things. And then the Pistons did a pretty good job of kind of fending them off for the most part. Cade was on the bench or in the locker room. I have no idea what's going on with that or what was going on with that for a better half of the fourth quarter. And then the Pistons were comfortably up by about 8, 9, 10 points with a couple minutes remaining. Cade comes back in. Pistons are still chugging along, keeping that 10-point lead up until there was about a minute and a half left. And that is when Tyler Hero decided to absolutely take over. With less than a minute and a half, the Pistons were up by 9 or 10 points, and Tyler Hero decided to hit 3 straight threes back to back to back. The Pistons had plenty of opportunity during that point in time to seal the game and end it, but they reverted to a lot of bad habits, were turning over the ball, missing easy jumpers, and with all of the opportunity in the world to end this game in regulation, they were not able to do it, and Tyler Hero took it upon himself to make sure that this game had a chance to be won by Miami, and that's exactly what he did. So after that Tyler Hero rampage, overtime finally started. Once overtime started, I had a bad gut feeling personally. I felt like that Tyler Hero takeover just kind of knocked the wind out of the team. First 3 possessions of overtime, turnover, and I just had a feeling that this game was not going to be able to be won. Just all things considered, that the Pistons are still a relatively young team. They've had a lot of these close games already this year and have struggled at times in crunch time situations, and it felt like the intensity for this one was just cranked up to 10,000, considering that they were in overtime of an NBA Cup game that they should have closed out in regulation but didn't, so didn't have a lot of faith. After that, there's like 3 minutes left. Pistons are kind of struggling. Beasley hits a huge 3 to keep them afloat. And you just kind of knew on the other end that it was going to be tough to get stops. And it definitely was, because Bam Adebayo had a crazy alley-oop with a and one opportunity. The Pistons on the other end, right before that, Jalen Duren missed a couple free throws. Next thing you know, the Pistons are down a couple points and they need a bucket very badly. After all that kind of played out, the Miami Heat ended up getting the ball, missing, and leaving the Pistons with 28 seconds on the clock. When that happened, Cade decided to drive into the paint with about 18 seconds left. Jump ball. Now Cade's doing a jump ball against Bam, obviously undersized in that situation, not likely to win it. Bam pulls on Cade's arm, no call. Now Miami has the ball with a chance to win the game and no shot clock. Tower Hero comes down, dribbles out the clock, 1.8 seconds left, takes a pull-up jumper over Beasley. He hits it. It feels like the game's over. Pistons are down 2, and JB's drawing up a play. He actually draws up a great play for an alley-oop dunk for Jalen Duren that he gets to go. And what does Miami do? Calls a timeout. What was the problem? Miami was out of timeouts, the old Chris Webber. So that led for an opportunity for Malik Beasley to step to the free throw line and take 2 free throws and win the game. Pistons get the ball underneath the basket. All they have to do is inbound it, and they win, which they ended up doing. I don't even know how to feel. I don't think I've ever felt this bad about a Pistons win in a long time, because it almost feels like a loss for a couple different reasons. Number one, Tim Hardaway Jr. going down, just horrible situation, just horrible. Obviously won't be playing for some point of time at the very, very least, and we're just hoping for nothing beyond that. And then also, the Pistons just had so many opportunities to finish this game and win this game in regulation, and they didn't play particularly well in overtime. So I don't know. I just have not a great feeling about this win, even though on the other side of the coin, you could look at this game and say, well, these are the type of games that you have to take a step and be able to find a way to win. Because in the face of adversity, they found a way to win. Can you rely on the other team to call a timeout when they don't have any timeouts every game? Probably not. So that's probably why I don't feel too confidently on that side of the coin. But a win's a win. That's been a saying for way longer than I've been alive, and it's been a saying for good reason. Because a win is a win. It counts as a win in the column, in the win column. It's going to count towards the NBA Cup, and hopefully builds a little confidence in these guys, because it really felt like after the Tyler Hero takeover at the end of regulation that the confidence of this team was just completely pulled from inside of them and out, and it was nowhere to be saw. During some possessions in overtime, you knew a turnover was coming before it even came. So for them to be able to pull this out, I think is probably going to be good for morale. Hopefully helps these guys believe in the fact that they can win a lot of these close games, and hopefully we get a lot more wins coming up soon that aren't this stressful, because I'm at a loss for words. This video has been just a bit all over the place because I didn't even plan on making a video after this game. I've been feeling a little bit under the weather, and I didn't think I was going to have anything good to say at all, considering what had happened. But all in all, the Pistons got a win, and I'm just stunned. So let me know what you guys think. This is a crazy one, and I'll catch up with you guys soon.